Hello and welcome to Stitches and Slapdashery Slowvember Day 22. Get out the markers and pretend to be a kid again. This is going to be a fun one, and it's going to be not too taxing on the brain, which is wonderful because it's been a long day at work. So what do we need for tonight? We will need very simple supplies. A book with some decent sketch paper in it. I'm not sure how many years I've had this one in my craft room, but it feels like a mixed media weight. Not quite as heavy as watercolor paper, but heavier than sketch. I've got these watercolor pens that I actually bought for Mr. Stitches probably, I don't know, 6 months ago, and he hasn't used them a lot. So I'm going to have fun with them tonight. Now I should probably grab a pencil as well. One of the things I used to love as a child is colouring with markers or crayons or whatever. And if I had that squared paper, I would do all sorts of patterns on it as if it was a quilt. I was thinking about quilts even then. Amazing. And another thing I used to like doing is just doing a swirly line and then filling in all the spaces that were made or by doing a swirly line. So I'll do a small version of that now and colour it in. So I just used to go like this. And then I used to colour it in. Now these ones have a brush end and a fine tip end. Oh, very nice. This was a set I got from Michael's Statler, I think that's how you say it. Now it's a set of 36 double-ended watercolour brush pens. Rather nice. I'm hoping that with Mr. Stitches planning to retire next year, that he's going to do a little bit more arty stuff. Because it'll give him something new to do. They say that when you retire, you should have a plan. I think he's going to be fine. He's got all sorts of plans. So work today was absolutely insane. So as I colour here, I will be gradually decompressing from the craziness of a retail store in the Christmas season. And yes, I know it's not even December yet. But everyone is madly buying Christmas decorations and Christmas gifts already. And I've been there for a year and a half there. And so I was there last Christmas, and I remember all the Christmas trees were gone by the end of November last year. There were some rather disappointed people asking me where the Christmas trees were in December last year, and I was like, sorry, you missed them. They're gone. Anyway, we're in Slowvember right now, and it's definitely still fall, and it's been very mild for the time of year. I've barely needed my winter coat at all so far. Oh, wrong end. Sometimes it's nice to leave some white space. I see I've got two white spaces next to each other there, though. So let's just fix that. And then I'm going to outline my shapes with the black pen. Then I'm going to try something new, which I have seen, I think it was probably on Instagram. So it's still going to be a form of colouring, but it's going to be a little bit more exciting, maybe? Interesting? I don't know. And then I'm going to show you my crochet that I'm up to. I've got 3 crochet items to show you. A couple of which I worked on last night. Oh, I didn't follow my line very well there. So rather predictably, that is a little slapdash. But it is quite pretty for a bit of abstract art, isn't it? Now I want to try something different. And again, I'm going to probably try and keep it fairly small so it doesn't take forever. Maybe I'll do it this way. So what I've seen somebody do before is they've blocked out their sketchbook page with masking tape or artist tape. And I'm not going to measure. I probably should, but again, this is Stitches and Slapdashery. We do things our own way here. So I know it's not quite even, but I've blocked it out. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to use a black pen, and I'm just wondering, I'm going to, I think, use this Pitt Artist pen, which is a waterproof one, rather than these watercolor brush pens, to do my first black line. And we're going to do basically the same thing as we did before, the swirly line. And then obviously some of it will come off when we peel off the green paper. So I'm just going to go like this. Like that. And I'm also going to outline the square in a rather wobbly fashion, like this. This is my first time doing this, so I'm not sure how it's going to look. Obviously, you can do the squares whatever size you like. And if I go on to the masking tape, it doesn't matter. I'm just really curious to see how this looks. So now I'm going to basically colour in the spaces again, or at least some of the spaces again. Try not to get the black smudge or anything. As you can see, my art skills have not progressed beyond primary school. As you can see my pen marks. Ooh, I like that a lot. And I'm going to, I think, leave this white. And then for this part, I'm going to put a kind of pattern in there. Guess I should figure out what it's going to be. Okay, while I'm thinking about line patterns, I'm going to carry on with coloured stuff. Oh, wow, I love this green. What a gorgeous colour. Obviously, you can pick whichever of these sections you want to colour in, but I think some will be more interesting than others. Like this is just a circle almost, but this is a much more interesting shape. I definitely love that green. Wow. 50-50 chance of getting the correct end opened, and I keep getting the fine tip instead of the brush tip. Can you tell this one was inspired by slow stitching because it looks like running stitch? So what it will look like is 6 little pictures rather than one big picture. Well, I wish I'd known about masking tape when I was a kid. I would have just adored doing this all those years ago. They look like 6 separate little pictures, but the lines actually flow from one to the other. But you can't see those because the masking tape took those away. I really like that. That's really pretty. I mean, there's no reason why I couldn't add more colour in here. Or in here, or in here, or in here. Whatever I felt like doing. But I think sometimes you have to remember that less is more. And leave some white space for the eye to rest and not go too mad. What? This doesn't sound like me at all, does it? So that's today's Slowvember craft. Let me just show you my crochet. We'll start with the exceedingly unexciting one of a dishcloth. Now, here's a funny story about this dishcloth. I've been crocheting this with this yarn. It's a Drops Paris, I think it is. I bought it in white. I dyed it with Rit. It turned out to be lovely and tonal. I'm glad it wasn't a solid blue because I think it looks way better as a tonal. And so I decided I was going to have this little project bag that I could throw in my other bag if I was going out and I knew I might have a chance to do a few stitches while I was out and about, keep my hands busy, whatever. So the other day, actually, I think it was a week ago, last weekend, I think it was, I worked the last 2 rows on this dishcloth. And I noticed at the time that my initial chain edge seemed very much looser and wider than my final 2 rows there. Well, there's a good reason for that, isn't there? I used a smaller hook by mistake. So what I should have done is I should have grabbed the 5mm hook out of my granny square project bag. Instead, I grabbed the 3.75mm hook out of my slipper project bag, and I did these 2 rows with the smaller hook. And because it's a dishcloth, I'm not going to rip it out and redo it. I'm just going to throw this into my airing cupboard. Do they call them airing cupboards anymore? All right, it's a closet at the end of the hall which has all my towels. So I'm going to throw it in there and it can go into rotation with the other dishcloths. I really like the texture on this. It's single crochet, double crochet, alternated. And then on the following row, you single crochet into the double crochets and double crochet into the single crochets. And if you're in the UK, you'll have to substitute those terms for DC and treble because they're slightly same stitches, different names. You probably already know that. So then I started this one and I was thinking, wow, this is really tight. It's hard going. Why is it so tight? And then that was there is when I noticed I was using the 3.75mm hook. So I did all of this and then I did this. I mean, look how much tinier it is. I counted the stitches on here. I did the same amount of stitches. And then I thought, wow, what's going on? Look at the size difference. So I will be pulling this one out next time I work on this. And I will be starting with a bigger hook. In fact, because I want to put a 5mm, because I want, oh, where's Nicola? You can tell I'm tired. Because I want to keep the 5mm hook with my granny square project, I might just go with a 5.5 on that next time. So yeah, super portable, cute little bag, perfect, brainless crochet. So let's have a look at the slipper socks. They have progressed. It's not the most enjoyable crochet, this, because it's quite dark blue yarn. The stitches are quite small. The crochet hook is quite small. And the stitch pattern is a single crochet in the back loop and the front loop alternating. And I know I have made some mess ups in the stitch pattern in various places, but because you can't really see the stitches, I'm not fretting about it. So I'm working them concurrently to avoid second sock syndrome, and they each have their own ball of yarn, which is actually quite handy. At the moment, I am at the point where I have, maybe I should put it that way so that you can get a better idea. So here are my cuffs, the top of the sock, the rows of little snowballs. I only did 3 rounds of snowballs because I was not going to do 6, or I would have been pulling my hair out. This is the gap here where you do half a row and then you do foundation single crochet that's not attached to the rest of the row, because you make space to go back and do a heel. And then you do a teeny bit of decreasing in here. And right now I'm at the point where all I have to do is go straight for the feet, make a toe, and then go back and do the heel. So I'm just going around and round and round. It's still definitely not TV crochet, because I do have to look at my work closely and count my stitches, because it's turned arounds and it's not always very clear where I'm supposed to finish my round. So it's a little frustrating, that one. It's not that enjoyable, I have to say. That's the Snowfall slipper sock pattern by DoraDoes. And then the Brand Heartland project, which is this massive bag of Lion Brand colours here. So I have quite a few colours of the Lion Brand Heartland in here. We have some turquoise, some purple, red, green, rust gold, and of course the black. So this is an ongoing project where I am making the granny squares out of this granny square card deck. And I've done 2 so far. The ones you may have already seen are these 2. That was the first one. So you're working in a round until the final round, and then it turns into a square. And this one was quite lacy, quite open. If you stretch it out, you can see it better. So those were nice. So last night, after I had got those 2 slipper socks to a good point, and they were both up to the same point, I pulled another card out of this box, and it's this one. And I was rather intrigued by this one because it's half of a solid square and half of a granny square. And I made this one. So if you look at that the same way as the picture, we have granny stitches on this half, not this quarter. This triangular section is granny stitches, and this triangular section is solid. I really like that. There are 50 designs in this box, so I'm hoping to make every single one of them. Could take a while. And then, because I'm edging them all with the black, and because they are all coming out the same size, I should be able to join them into something nice. So the ones I've completed, I'm putting at the bottom of the box, below the little leaflet that comes with it. And then I'll put the other ones on top. So that was a real quick one for today, because It's been a long day and I didn't have a lot of time this evening in order to get some recording done and then some editing and some uploading. Oh, I know what I was going to ask you. Okay, for those of you who are watching today, now that I'm assuming that now that I'm over 1,000 subscribers, YouTube is going to start offering me other things. And one of the things they offered me was auto dubbing. And I think for people who are in non-English speaking countries, I can switch on auto dubbing and it will automatically dub the words I'm saying, presumably with AI, in the language of the person who is supposedly watching the video. I'm not sure I like that idea. So even though they said I could have it, I turned it off for now. I thought I would sort of do a little, not a poll, but I thought I'd mention it here on the vlog and see what people think. Because I know that there are people here in, say, the Netherlands who speak perfect English and just want to listen to me in English, who might be very put off by the fact that suddenly they're hearing this AI voice in Dutch, say, rather than my own voice. They do say that by dubbing it, I would be more likely to be watched by more people around the world, which I guess is true. But I don't know if I like the idea. I don't use any sort of AI when I'm making my videos or editing my videos. And I don't really like the idea of an AI voice. The amount of times that Mr. Stitches and I are watching YouTube on the big TV upstairs and the narration is an AI voice, I find it very off-putting. So tell me what you think. If English isn't your first language, would you rather listen to me speak English or have something dubbed over in your own language? I can tell you, I do not like watching films where the language has been dubbed, because you're looking at the mouth and it's not moving in the way it sounds like it should be moving, because they might be speaking French or something and you're hearing English and you're like, it doesn't match, it doesn't jibe, it's just not right. So yes, let me know. Tell me what you think. And in the meantime, I'll see you again tomorrow. I'll have more time to play tomorrow because it's the weekend, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.